All right. Hello. Well, today we are with Edward. Welcome, Edward, and great to have you with us. Please tell us, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, until very recently, I was a grad student in classics. I just graduated over the summer. And so I've taught a lot of Greek classes and Latin classes. Actually, I'm a Hellenist. But my only experience with spoken Greek and Latin is actually with Latin. Because, yeah, well, I don't know if how far I should get into it, but
tell us, what's your experience with spoken Latin?
Well,
spoken Latin is a much bigger thing.
Yes. Well, I was assigned to teach sort of the Latin sequence, 101, 102, 201, 202. And so, and it had been a very long time since I had done Latin, being a Hellenist. And yeah, so, I mean, I really enjoyed actually teaching, teaching that sequence out of a grammar and translation textbook. But that's kind of the immediate context in which I found myself when I started to hear rumblings about spoken Latin on Twitter. And
the underground rumblings.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess teaching Latin, I did enjoy, teaching it, even though we, there's quite grammar translation. But every now and then, things would happen, like students would ask me how I would say something in Latin. I was like, oh, I don't really know. I have to go look that up. So, and then, I heard more and more of this spoken Latin stuff. And yeah, again, on Twitter. Where these things kind of percolate.
They happen in other spaces.
Yes.
Some of those spaces I'm in, some of them I'm not. But Twitter's a space I'm in a lot.
Right. And it's also interesting because I was initially kind of hostile to it. I had to be not exactly converted, but I was initially,
convinced.
I think I had to be convinced. Yes, let's put it that way. But over time, the arguments that I saw, I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And then honestly, it's just kind of such an appealing way to do it. I think there's something very alienating about just reading and translating and reading and translating. And yeah. And then the other big influence is that at the same time, I was just starting to get good at Italian, or to get better at Italian. And, because I was, practicing it every day for, at this point, more than a year, and speaking it and stuff. And basically, I mean, Latin and Italian are kind of similar. So I was like, well, surely if I can do it with the one, it's possible with the other. And it's just so rewarding, kind of, to not exactly speak it, but just to speak it, sure, but to kind of to think of to know it,
to process in that, to process in the language.
Yes,
that's even if you're not speaking it, to be operating kind of in Latin, it's rewarding.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, one of the things that I find alienating about, or that I found alienating about Latin, is that teaching Latin with just like a grammar textbook, is that it seems very random whenever you encounter a sentence in Latin. It's not that, say, you can't figure it out, but it just doesn't, you have no baseline, or at least I felt like I didn't have a baseline. Because I don't have a way I would express that. I'm just sort of, okay, well, here's how it's being expressed in this context. I guess this is how you express that. So I think Italian showed me that it is possible to have a baseline, which isn't to say that's like, this is how you say it definitively,
right?
But it makes you more confident and grounded, or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Especially when you come to those kinds of questions like register and variation and things. Yeah, in Latin, like you say, you meet a phrase and you're like, I don't know if this is well, in English or in a native, in a language you know well, you'll be like, that person is talking very highfalutin, or that person is, quoting some Shakespeare to talk about going to the photocopier. Those kinds of things, you can notice them because you have these understandings. Whereas you can develop them in Latin, but it takes time and takes a certain type of exposure.
Totally.
So you've done Latin with me, and you jumped into perhaps one of my foolhardy course decisions, that is to read through Roma Aeterna, which has been called Liber Aeternus by some of my colleagues. What tipped you over to come and do classes with me?
Well, in fact, that was not my first class with you. My first class with you was the conversation one.
Yes.
And that was the first one of the pandemic. And so, so I came into that. That was like conversation for people who kind of know Latin. Basically. And that was very interesting. My experience with that was basically whenever I would try to express myself to speak, basically, I would reach for the word, but the Italian word rather than the Latin word would come. And that was basically because those circuits, this is how I think about it, those circuits are already there, whereas the Latin circuits had yet to be forged. Even though I had, been studying Latin for a while, it's, very recently, I've been teaching all these Latin classes. It was actually kind of frustrating because, just to want to say the word for, I don't know, think or something like that, and be like, not reaching and be like, I know it, I kind of know, I just can't think of it, or just to reach for it and then get the Italian word and be like, no, it's not pensare, it's something else. But and then I took a hiatus after that, I think maybe a semester, and went through Lingua Latina per se illustrata, and that was very helpful. And I think that I forged the pathways or the circuits or whatever. And then I joined Roma Aeterna, and we went through, I think, 3 semesters of that.
Yes, solid effort. It's on a hiatus from us.
Yes, that's so true.
So what was the big, particularly that conversation class? What was the big payoff for you in that class? In terms of
part of it, I would say, the making visible, this that it could happen, that it would be possible, even though of course I didn't have, as I say, those circuits. And I think it's hard not to just shill for Herbert or anything, but it is hard unless you kind of restart, basically. Or at least this is the way it works for me. I found it was very helpful to go through Familia Romana, basically. But that class, the various activities, telling stories and collaborative storytelling, and over the cartoons and the pictures and things like that. Just kind of closing the distance between the idea, wanting to maybe speak Latin and then actually speaking it. I think that's one of the big problems, is that people don't really know where to begin, and they haven't really probably heard any spoken Latin. And I would say, the general approach is so scholarly that it's like we wouldn't want to try to speak Latin unless we're absolutely sure that what we're saying is, 100% correct.
Certainly there's some people of that opinion.
Yes. Which is not to say that, the movement doesn't have rigorous standards or something like that. But that kind of sort of self-consciousness, or even just not knowing where to begin, and just sort of, I think that's can be paralyzing. So it was very helpful to just see people, you know, telling a little story, which, you know, made sense. Yeah, in Latin and all that stuff.
Any thoughts to take up spoken Greek?
I do. I tried to over the summer. I was beginning my spoken Greek journey, but I got too busy, and so I had to stop doing it. But once I get, you know, my schedule frees up next semester, I do intend to try that. With Greek, it's so hard with all the different pronunciation systems. I feel like I've just confused myself. I never know what's going to come out now.
A thorny issue.
Yeah.
Both in terms of people's opinions, but also just practically, yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Last question. Someone's thinking of coming to classes at SeumasU. They're not quite sure what to expect. What's your one word of advice or one word of warning?
Oh, gosh. I would say, you know, well, is have fun with it too trivial or superficial? I mean, I think it's, you know, it's fun, and it's not something to be anxious about. I think that's the other thing, is that spoken Latin, I think people are very anxious about speaking. But, you know, ultimately it is very fun and you know, very low stakes, kind of comfortable atmosphere. So I don't know, in sort of a larger community too, it seems. Maybe I don't have you know, as good a sense of it, but it seems like everyone is, you know, very inviting and wants there to be more more people, basically.
Yes, that's true of cults as well.
Yes.
But no, well, I think generally speaking, yes, the Latin speaking community is it's broad, it's very welcoming, very supportive. Yeah.
That's my opinion of the Discord server.
Well, thanks for sharing with us today. Thanks for your thoughts. Yes. And look forward to seeing you in class shortly.
Yes, see you Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, bye, Wale.